Okay, so here it goes. I'm going to talk about my family, and I don't really care if they like it or not. Growing up was very hard for me. Growing up, I felt isolated. I felt shunned, and I felt different. I felt um, I felt like I had no friends that were really genuine, and I felt that people were really out for themselves from a young age. I never really saw my family as much of a family, more or less, than people I was living with. Growing up, I remember a lot of time playing alone when I had two older sisters who would play with them. They would play together and leave me, by myself, or they would play with me and tease me or antagonize me until it ended in tears. And a lot of times we were getting spanked growing up for having an attitude. And that leads me to the next point of religion. So growing up, we had a mom and a dad who brought us to church every Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday. And during the week, we went to a Baptist church for school. So I had a lot of experiences inside of the school of being bullied before I was even in fourth grade. And neither of my sisters had experienced this at an early age. So I never expressed this to anyone that I was being bullied because I didn't know what it was. This girl would come up to me and I would hide from her, but she would find me and would twist my arm like an Indian rug burn, and it was really bad, but I felt at the time that I couldn't say anything to anyone because prior to that I had told on a girl for lying. She was we were taking a test, and she said the answer to number one is C. Not everybody heard the answer to number one being said out loud by the video teacher, but she repeated it and said, just so everyone knows, the answer to number one was A. And being in a Christian school, I wrote on the top of my test, Tanya cheated on number one. And so the teacher asked me what happened, and I told her. So she's like, go tell the pastor. So I tell the pastor, and then they come back and they ask the girl. She says, no, everybody in the classroom denies this from happening. And I'm saying, yo, I'm not lying. I get pulled away from the class and I'm told I'm, this bad, awful person. So at this point, I have a teacher yelling in my face who is this close to my face, screaming at me, telling me I'm a liar. And I wasn't allowed around my siblings in the house, nor was I allowed around the family at church, because I was considered an infectious disease. So I ended up, after a week and a half of being isolated from the school, I ended up being spanked by the pastor in front of my dad because they boiled it down to me lying. Now, after that, my parents got divorced, and my sister and I would be doing things because we hung out a lot, and I would hear these voices in my head that were screaming at me, and I couldn't really put together what it was, but it was also this really strange sensation of something really, really big and something really, really small, and I just couldn't put the sensation together with words. And so eventually one day I got sick of it because every day on the morning walk to the bus stop, I was being triggered by my sister, and I didn't know what a trigger was at the time. I just knew I was feeling these weird ways, and I had to literally shake it and do something different, or else, it would accumulate and make me feel this really crazy sensation. So I ended up going to the school nurse, the school psychologist, and I said, I'm hearing these voices and this is what's happening. And she says, oftentimes if you're hearing voices, it's stress related. So you should write down when it starts happening and see if it stops. So I ended up never going back to her, but I never wrote it down because I felt like it would just make it worse. And not to mention, my dad and my mom would find everything in the house, and they told us not to talk to the therapist anyways. So I then, at 13, I have a boyfriend who's older than me. And now I had always hung out with my sisters who were older than me. And they were basically, my older sisters. They would never steer me wrong. They wouldn't want to get me in trouble, but I felt that sometimes I trusted them too much to not get me in trouble, and they ended up getting me in trouble. But I believe that at a young age, I was innocent to to the nature of what they were doing to me. And I don't know that if they knew what they were doing, if they would do it again. But anyway, so I have a problem because my grandfather sexually assaulted family members, and me being one of them. I am having a hard time coming to grips with some of the flashbacks that I've had and some of the recent memories that are being dug up from my past through acupuncture and therapy. So what I understand is that when you go through something traumatic, you repress it. And that's what happened to me when I went through a lot of traumatic things as a child. Now, before my parents got the divorce, when I was in between second and third, maybe, my sister, who was 4 years older than me at the time, says to me, "Do you know how to fall asleep? If you can't, do you know a quick way to do it?" And I was like, I mean, I don't ever have a problem falling asleep. And she said, "Oh, well, look in your pants between your legs." And at this point, I promise you, the only thing I'd ever done was wiped. I didn't even think that there was a hole there. I didn't even know that there was a hole there. Then my sister goes, "Oh, well, if you just rub this area, you can fall asleep because it feels good. And after a while, you get tired." And I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck is she talking about? So I'm like, this doesn't like feel like anything. It's weird. So I end up not doing it. And then like a couple months go by and my sister's like playing and she has it all like blocked off. And I'm thinking she has like a house back there, So I go back there and I'm thinking, "What are you doing?" And she was like, "You can't play with me unless you promise to keep a secret." I'm like, "Okay, so what's the secret?" Now I'm about to blow her secret because this bitch can't keep secrets. And I learned that as an adult, that she's literally ruined everything I've ever had trust in. And if I have to hold this inside of me for the rest of my life, it might end up fucking killing me one day, that I can't say the truth about what happened to me as a child. They would love for this story to stay silent. And I'm sure that I'm going to get some hell for fucking even talking about this. But that just goes to prove even more how fucked up family is. So anyways, at one age, my sister started pinning me down to the floor and grabbing my boobs so that she could go over to the phone that she would plug into the wall without my parents knowing and have phone sex with her boyfriend at the time and moan and groan into the phone. And she would sit there and pin me down and kiss me so that she could say she kissed a girl and sit there on the phone. Now, not only that, but we used to have these fights where I would try to run from her or she would lick me or something like this. We would go back and forth. And I always ended up feeling like she was more powerful than me. And she made it that way to prove that she was always more powerful than me. And for a long time, I let her be more powerful than me because she is my older sister. And I believe she should be watching out for me, not trying to control me. So my sister, the same one, used to tell me what to wear. She would tell me, if too much cleavage was too much cleavage. And I felt that I could trust her at that point to tell me, if I was looking one way or another, because she's another person and I can't always tell for myself what's best. So my sister badgered me for the longest time to try to find out if I had an orgasm yet when I masturbated, because she felt that I just wasn't able to have one yet and that, I wasn't mature enough. And I'm thinking back on this all as a grown adult, like, what the fuck? So as I go back behind the thing and she's like, "You got to keep a secret," I say, "Yeah, sure." So she takes the dolls and she puts them to the doll's face to her crotch. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that's not normal. And I'm thinking at a young kid's age, like, how does she even know this? And I'm thinking, what pleasure does this do? Because that kid's face is inanimate. It's not even a real thing. And I'm like, damn, this bitch's imagination is crazy. And my sister's imagination has always peaked and been way higher than mine. But as a grown adult, she won't even talk about it. Not only that, she would pin me down. The sexual, like, grabbing and stuff would end with her shoving her feet near my vagina. Now, when I was having flashbacks and triggers of this, and I didn't understand what the fuck was happening for the longest time, and then I started understanding, like, hey, the reason why you feel this way when certain things happen is because this is called a trigger, and it's because something traumatic happened to you. I had to search after the fucking reason why I am, quote unquote, crazy. Okay? The reason I am so exuberant and dramatic and over the fucking top, is because of the shit that my family put me through growing up consistently. Not only did they use me as their bully, like they would bully me, not only did they use me as their little like pincushion, but as an adult, it continued, which made it even worse. I can't even vocalize to you the shit that my sisters have said to me that is so beyond fucked up. I have no choice but to record a video to try to stress the fact that all I'm trying to do is live my life. And in order to live my life, I have to heal from my past. And in order to heal my past, I have to talk about it. And in order to talk about it, I have to come to grips with the fact that my own siblings, my flesh and blood, have contributed to a hell of a lot of diseases that I have mentally from their fucked up opinions that they pushed on me. My sister tells me that I have never been assaulted and that I am a liar, that I have never been raped. Well, I'll tell you this much. That's a damn projection, because she sat there and told me that all of this Me Too movement is bullshit, because how could someone allow that to happen? Every time my grandfather tried, she stopped it from happening. She stopped it every time. Did you stop it every time? Because that's interesting. I told you about the fact that I remembered being penetrated as an infant and you got mad at me. Why would you get mad at me? Is it that your jealousy has consumed you yet one more time? And it's disgusting that you'd even be jealous, because I'll tell you the truth. This is the shit that comes out years later. It doesn't come out when you're a fucking 7 or 8, because children don't remember that. It's repressed. And then when you start going through therapy like I've been going through, you start bringing up old memories. And guess what my family does when I bring up that? Make it worse. So I've decided to cut ties with my sisters. Now, the problem is that on Christmas, the two of them decided to team up against me and say some shit real snide and sneaky and act like I didn't fucking get what they were doing. You want to make passive aggressive subliminal fucking hits at your sister? Game on. That's all I'm going to say. Because then the following week in a group chat, I was not only attacked a second time by some passive aggressive shit, but it's all in relation to my mental diseases. So not only does my family sit there and tell me that I'm crazy, they talk shit and make fun of me because I'm crazy. They told me my sister told me I joined the Navy for fucking, get this, for attention. Coming from someone who admits she does things for attention, she sees that other people do it too. And I said, well, that's interesting, because coming from someone who hasn't done a damn thing for attention, I don't understand how someone could possibly conjure up the energy in them to do shit just for attention. She got locked up in the mental hospital for cutting her wrists for attention that she openly admitted. She admitted that she was doing it for attention. And guess what? The guy that called and got her locked up because he wanted to be the big bad man ended up trying to step in just recently to attack me on her defense. See, what's interesting is that this entire web has been woven since we were kids. Every time that I asked her, what do you think my boobs will look like when I'm older? Because I developed at a young age. Because guess what? I had been prematurely sexually aroused. Oh, that's right. She never talked about that with me because I repressed those memories. The problem is that our family has been so abused in so many ways that we have become so far apart from one another. I honestly thought I could try to fix it. To be honest with you, I thought that's maybe why God made me an angel instead of no one else in my family. But then I realized that I am nothing like the rest of my family, and the cultivation inside of me to find and seek truth is merely because of the way they've treated me my whole entire life. I wouldn't have found such comfort in the spirits if I didn't spend so much time alone. And I wouldn't have posted an article for people to text my sister and actually try to antagonize her had none of this shit happened. This has to end somewhere, right? Where is it going to end? It didn't end when she came into my apartment and I called the police because she wouldn't leave. Is it going to end in a fist fight? Is that what she wants? Is that what she really wants, is to lay hands on her sister? She told me I don't deserve my disability because I do not have one. Yet she claims I'm so crazy and delusional and in a mania. She blames everything on the mania. She said I got married because I'm a manic bipolar bitch. I'm getting divorced because I'm a manic bipolar bitch. I'm arguing with my husband because I'm crazy. Everything I do is because I'm crazy. How about you focus on your own life, and instead of following me on fucking Twitter, YouTube, anything that I have, you create your own fucking magic and do your own shit in your own life because of the fact that you're bored and you have enough time to follow up on my every move. What does that even say about yourself? You tried to tell my friend Chris I hooked you up with that you intentionally tried to bang every single person that I've slept with. You openly admitted your jealousy to him. You openly talk shit about your sister, your flesh and blood to people. And guess what? I have done absolutely nothing in return. In return, I have done nothing. And the one time I returned the revenge. She doesn't like it very much, so she sends her friend after me. And you know what her friend had to say? That for someone who plays the religious card, because that's what he called what I am, a religious person, a spiritual person, someone who has divine connection, he says that I miss his religion and it's so condescending of me to try to fuck with my sister the way that I did. Some people murder the people who actually assaulted them. She's pushed me to the point where I've been locked up in the mental hospital because they were so afraid of me going home and murdering my sister. Yeah, the psychiatric nurses know I have PTSD. And guess what? When I get triggered, you can tell that there's no fucking calming me down. And if you think that shit just comes out of nowhere, I hate to break it to you bitches, but that shit comes from, what is that? Oh, repetitive fucking trauma. If they only did some research on the shit that I've been telling them about, they would too realize that I'm not crazy. But instead, I'm sitting here making a video trying to clap back at these bitches. And in all seriousness, I sound like the asshole because I'm sitting here talking about God and how good he is, but yet I'm telling my sister to go fuck herself. You want to know what it says in the Bible about this? Let me tell you. Jesus said there's no way you could be a follower of him unless you hate your family. And Jesus said turn the other cheek, but guess what God does? He kills evil. And guess what God said? He doesn't want evil in his life. All of this is going to end with this video, I promise you, because I've got no more to say after this. This is all my fucking purging. She sexually assaulted me growing up, and I don't give a fuck if anybody cares. The fact of the matter that I can openly say that and put it in a video and upload it to the internet is good enough, because you know what that bitch did? That bitch tried to record me explaining that I was an angel and that God had given me this fucking ordination to come to this earth to help show the fucking truth. But you want to talk shit about me and tell me that I'm crazy and that my PTSD is made up and that I'm literally a liar? Fuck out of here with that. And as far as my other sister goes, because I haven't talked about her, I'm sure that they will watch this too, and I don't care who the fuck sees this, because guess what? This is me. Congratulations. I ain't had a goddamn family member there for me for the past however many days now. And you know what? It ain't nothing I did to them. It is everything that they've done to me. Everything that they've done to me. And I do not care if I have to take this with me to the grave. You want to know why? Because they're the ones that push me into the place where I feel like I have to take it to the grave. They're the ones that push me to the place where I feel like I have to cut the relationship off with them. I promise you this. Most people who end up committing suicide commit suicide, and it starts with the fucking fact that their family bullied them from a very little age. My sister sat there and said, people who kill themselves maybe do it for attention, and that it's like really fucked up. And I'm thinking, this bitch has no idea what it's like, does she? How can you live your life so blind and sit there and tell me? It hurts. And that's why I'm making this video. To show that I'm really upset and that I'm not just lying. And that if you make my soul hurt like this, bitch, I'm gonna fucking kill you. You don't know crazy. That's what I'm saying. I'm not even gonna put my hands on you and kill you. That's how crazy I am. You're gonna be dead to me, bitches, and I don't care, because guess what? You're dead to me. I killed you. In my own head, you're dead to me. So this is the video to let you know that if I don't hit you up, congratulations, you're dead to me.